Okay, we've continued our primary search until we've gotten a signal. Now this brings us to the secondary phase of our search. Since we use digital beacons, we're going to review the procedures for the backcountry access tracker here. For the rest of you, you should refer to your manufacturer's documentation on how to perform this next phase or secondary phase of the search pattern. What I want to do is very important. I'm going to leave something here as a mark. If I had ski poles or something else, I'll leave that. In this case, I'm just going to leave some gloves here. It's important if I lose a signal on here for some reason and come back to here where I had a signal and continue. Okay, the backcountry access, when it picks up a signal, will give you an audible and visual alert, okay? Next thing you want to do is get this thing in the horizontal plane. If you still have a signal, start using these directional arrows as an indication of which way to move. Once you get that, okay, move, just pick a direction, move that. Watch these numbers close, okay? If that distance starts going down, you're going the right way. Continue along following your arrows, watching the numbers get smaller. If the numbers get larger, it means you're moving away from the buried victim, you're going the wrong way. You need to flip this thing around and move in that direction. Okay, now I begin the secondary phase of my search. I'm reading about 48 meters, so I pick a direction, I move. Okay, it's getting lower. I'm seeing 45 now. Now I'm going to move quickly. I'm going to keep my directional arrows centered. Watching my numbers get smaller. Okay, I'm right on my curve, on my flux line. Getting smaller. Once again, this pie can move very quickly. Okay, 20 meters. Getting closer. Okay, so now I'm below 10 meters. My beacon's starting to beat faster. I'm getting close to my fine search phase. Okay, right here I'm at 3 meters. Okay, when you get down to the last 2 or 3 meters in the fine search, what you're going to do is if you're on a line, you're going to use that line as a base. If you're not sure of the line, just pick a line. At that point, ignore the directional indicators and go just off your distances. During the fine search, it's very important that you maintain the same orientation with the beacon through this phase. And that means if I'm coming in on my line, that this thing stays facing whatever direction I started with. I go to my low reading, and now I'm going to check at right angles. I make sure to continue with the same orientation on either side, okay, until I find that lowest reading. What I don't want to do is I don't want to spin this thing like this, changing orientation. It changes how I'm receiving the radio signals below and doesn't give me usable information. I've noticed that I've been on a straight line here the last few meters, so I'm going to continue with that. And I'm just going to ignore my directional indicator for the time being. So, I'm going to watch this orientation, keep it the same. And I'm just going to even read out my numbers. So I'm looking at 2.4, 2.2, 1.6, 1.3, okay, 1.5, 1.7, 2.2. Okay, so I went past it. So I'm going to go back to my lowest reading. Okay, notice how I'm keeping this down on the ground. Okay, I got a 0.8 right there. So I'm going to check that. I'm going to go this way. Okay, what do I got? I'm 0.8. 1.3, 1.8, all right, it's getting further away, go back to here, 0.8, 1.4, okay, so I come back to here, this is my lowest reading right here. Now I'm gonna probe right here for the victim and or dig. Okay, once I find that lowest reading, I've checked it on one line, I've checked it perpendicular to that, I've got my lowest reading. This is most likely, in most cases, where the victim is gonna be. Okay, I've verified my lowest reading right here. What I'm going to do now, if it's just me, is I'm going to go to my probes. I'm going to get those out of my pack as quickly as possible. And find the victim with my probes. What this does is it saves me a lot of digging to make sure that I'm in the right spot before I break that shovel out and start moving snow. Okay, so I'm going to start right where my lowest signal was. Boom, I'm hitting something right there. In most cases, I might start here and I'll move out 18 inches and I'll just keep doing a pattern around until I strike the victim. Okay? That's how normally I would do the pattern. Now it's going to be pretty obvious. We're in a shallow snowpack right here now, but it's going to be pretty obvious when you're probing. You're going to go a couple meters for probe strike distance. When you hit something, it's probably going to be a lot shorter than where you've been probing to, and or you'll feel it, the difference between, say, this and hard ground. Okay, I probed my victim right here. I'm gonna leave my probe there for now. I'm gonna whip out my shovel, okay? The reason I'm leaving my probe there is so I don't lose the victim. I've got him located. I'm gonna keep him located. So I'm gonna dig quickly, efficiently, until I get down to my victim. And boom. There he is, right there. Okay? While I'm pinpointing in on the victim and I've got my partner, he's probing in a pattern down towards me. If you have enough bodies, there's no reason that somebody can't start digging just below where we're doing our pinpoint search. This is just effective time management because they can start digging a hole, and as soon as we do get a probe strike or I do get right over the victim with my beacon, they can just flake that snow out of the vertical wall they've dug and get right to the victim. Now, once you do get to the victim, what's your priority going to be? It's going to be to get to his mouth, open the airway, and then dig the rest of them out.
小鳥がため息をつくと、彼女はため息で返す。ああ、彼女の仕草がいろんなものを動かす。